Hello, hello. Let's see, this is the first time that I actually do a live stream. I'm very excited. Um, I hope you can see me there. So, hi everybody, Happy New Year. It's January 5th today, and my name is Manuel. My channel, Manuel Oil Paints, I began it in October 2024. And I haven't really been painting much lately because of the holidays. But also, I caught a cold not too long ago, so I'm recovering right now. But I actually feel good now, so I'm going to start working on this painting that I began a while ago. And yeah, this if you don't know this place, this is a red lighthouse that is located in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and it's one of those iconic lighthouses here, and I've always liked it. Now, recently, somebody or some people graffitied this lighthouse, and they didn't even do a good job with the graffiti. It was just like some random words and signatures written on it, so that really made me upset when I saw that because it's such a beautiful lighthouse, but the city usually keeps it in good condition and paints over vandalism, right? So when I took this picture, this is the picture I took here. It looked like this. It was clean. It was nice, right? No graffiti, nothing like that. And I understand people want to do street art, right? But there's some places where I don't think it's okay to do it. So, yep, when I took this picture, it was a summer and it looked, the sky was clear, as you can see, and it was a good day, right? So I started to paint this. I took a break from it because I noticed some proportion issues, some inconsistencies. So today I decided to work on it for just a little bit of time. I have some time. So um, now one thing about this painting is that it's a little, the sky to me looks a little boring because it's just one tone pretty much. It's just blue, right? And I'm just thinking about what I can do to improve it. That's one thing. Maybe I'll leave it like that. I don't know yet. And also, I mean, the proportions, I need to work on them. So I'm going to be erasing or painting over some parts here. So I don't really have too much planned out. I'll just let it flow as I get into it. I see a lot of places that need work that is not even really worth analyzing too much because there's work to be done everywhere I look. And we'll see how this painting turns out. So right now I already have my paintbrush here. I'm going to start with this one and we'll see what happens from there. I have my paints laid out and yeah, I'm going to get started, and actually I'm going to switch to this big paintbrush to do something that we call oiling out, right? So because I haven't worked on this in a long time, it's all dry. Actually, I like to grab a big brush and just first remove some oil or some dust if it has any. This one looks pretty clean, but this is just part of my procedure when I paint. So just make sure I don't want to be having any. I have cats, so sometimes when I paint, I find cat hairs in my paintings. For all of you who own pets, or especially cats, because they have very fine little hairs. They're all over the place sometimes, and you'll find them in the most funny places, right? So, um, yeah. So I'm going to get started now. I just took off the dust, and with this big brush, I'm going to grab a little bit of my medium, which is what I call a 50-50 or half and half mixture. So that pretty much means 50% linseed oil, 50% mineral spirits. So I usually just oil out the parts, and I don't want to do this too much because it will start making the paint run. So I have to be very light about this and not spend too long doing that. So what I was saying is that I usually only oil out the parts that I'm going to be working in or working on, but it feels to me like I'll be working on a lot of parts, so I'm just taking the liberty of oiling out the whole thing this way. It doesn't have to cover 100% the canvas, right? But just enough oil and to make the painting look a little glossy, and that means it's ready to go, right? So here I'll be working a lot here, so I make sure I go here. Not too much oil. Here I'll be working right now from the beginning, I think. Not too much oil to the point where you see the oil dripping, but just enough to give it a little glare. And right now I have my light um, right right here coming in this direction. So from my point of view, there's a little bit of glare, and that's fine. It helps me see where the wet paint is, but I also have to move side to side to avoid the glare when I have to. But the good thing is that I don't really have a shadow lurking over the area that I'm working. So that's one thing I look for. I'm also very happy because, like I said, this is the first live stream I do, and you know, um, it's it's very nice because to do a live stream you need 50 subscribers, right? And I grew my channel to more than 70 subscribers in the last couple months. So we'll see where this goes. I want live streams to become more common. But yeah, I'll get better at live streaming. So if you're watching, please feel free to drop a comment, say hello, all of that, right? I really want to um, say hi to you, right? I want the point of the live stream is for us to engage, right? As I do this. So anyway, enough talking. I'm just going to start painting. So what I see right here is at the door. There's like a little door in the lighthouse. The horizon is halfway to the door, and right now my horizon is near the top of the door. So that's the first thing I'm going to fix here, and to do that, I'm just going to grab some white and a touch of cerulean blue. And when I was putting my putting my paints on the palette, I noticed that some of my paint got dry inside the tube, which is kind of rare because my tubes are not that old, and also I close them very well. So I don't know, we'll see how the paint flows, but I'm just going to start by laying down a very obvious, I know the value might be a little too light, but I don't mind actually, but I want to establish a very obvious horizon line, right? So I'm just trying to do a straight line here around the middle of the door. And yes, I could use a mouse stick, or I could use a ruler or a tape. I know people do different things, but sometimes when I paint, I just do by eye, like this. And that's it. You know, if it doesn't look good to my eye, I fix it um, very slowly. Also, I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for getting a message across to the people looking at my painting, right? Making sure that it's a nice looking painting, not so much how straight my horizon line looks. But obviously that's important too, right? To be neat when you paint. So excuse me if I have to clear my throat here and there, but yeah, like I said, I'm still recovering from a cold. It was good. It was not a very strong one, but you know, it's very cold here in Milwaukee at this time of the year, so there's always viruses going around, and yeah, it got me through New Year. I was sick the day after New Year, so so those of you who don't know me, I'm a guitar player, and my main profession is to teach and play guitar, but I also studied art when I was in music school, so I'm also a painter, and I decided to start this YouTube channel to share my progress, to share my ideas, and to learn about your ideas as well, your techniques, all of that. You know, I want to pretty much get in touch with the art community. I'm not going to be this painting because by picky I mean I'm not going to be too stiff with it. I'm just going to paint and see what happens. This is not a commission. You know how commissions can be a bit stressful because you're you have to satisfy the eye of the person who's commissioning you. But in this case, this is a painting that I'm doing for myself that I enjoy, and once it's done, once I'm happy with it, then I'll put it for sale, and hopefully somebody will buy it, and most likely somebody will because everybody in the city knows this place, and yeah, I know there's people who like to collect local art. So yeah, now the sky, I know I'm making it look a little too white, so I can fix that later. I'm just really trying here to define, and my paint is feeling a little stiff, maybe because it's wanted to get dry. My theory is that I left my paint tubes near the heater, and maybe the heater made them dry up, right? Or oxidize. It's oil paint what I'm using, so yeah, outside is usually like 20 degrees or so in these times lately. So the heater is always going, never stops, and the humidity is really low in here. So I need to have a humidifier for my instruments and for myself. So yeah, let's see. So that's the first thing that I noticed about this painting, that the horizon was not quite where it belongs, and I'm not going to make it exact, but just improve it. Uh-huh. There we go. So that's one thing that I saw here, and let's see. So the next thing is this red fence looks too big and should be a little smaller. I think should be maybe the top. I have to remove the top, so I'll just grab a little bit of ultramarine blue with the same color I have here, and I'm going to just make a big decision and cover that up. I don't like how it looks, so cerulean blue, and now my color's a little chalky right now because I had white, so I'm just grabbing more pigment, more blue color. Doesn't really match very well what was there before, but that's okay. It's a little green, maybe. Oh, too green. Yep, and I'm just going to erase pretty much or cover up what I did before there. So I'll redo that. So yeah, when you paint, if you feel like you messed up somehow, just remember that you can always simply let the paint dry. You can do two things. You can remove the paint while it's wet, or you can remove it with mineral spirits or paint thinner, or you can simply wait for the painting to dry and cover up or paint over what you don't like, right? Just like I'm doing now. So now I've done the lighthouse that is in Chicago. If anybody here knows or is from Chicago, say hello. But if you've been there, there's a lighthouse out on Lake Michigan that is like a white lighthouse, and I took a picture of it as I was on a boat doing an architecture tour that I actually really recommend if you ever visit Chicago to do this architecture tour. It takes you through the city, and they drive you through the river. I don't know if it's drive, but yeah, they sail. It's not a sailboat, it's a motorboat. They take you through the river, and they talk about Chicago's history, the architecture, if you're interested in buildings and how they change with time, and the design of buildings, then you might really like this tour. But then at the end, they take you out into Lake Michigan, so you can see Chicago from the lake from far, right? And you pass by this lighthouse that is really nice on top of a like a rocky or concrete slab in the middle of the on the edge of the harbor. I don't know how to describe it better, but there's always seagulls there, and they're funny there. They're always congregating there, and it's a beautiful, it's a beautiful lighthouse. So I took a picture of that a few years ago, and I painted it, and it's up on the wall. Actually, I haven't put it for sale. Uh, I need to frame that, but that's the other lighthouse that I did that inspired me to do this one as well. But this one is it's a little tricky because it's not doesn't have that much interest like the other one, right? I mean, the other one I like a lot because it's right in the middle of the water. This one is on the edge of the pier, you could say. You could walk up to it and you see there's a person standing right here. But yeah, I just decided to paint lighthouses that are in the area, and that's what I've been doing. This is the second one that I tried to do. I already have another one in mind, but this one is not a functional lighthouse that is inland already. It's like a historic lighthouse, and it's in a park in Milwaukee called Lake Park. So I will be painting that soon, eventually. Uh, but yeah, that's kind of the history I have with painting lighthouses. This is the second one I do. I'm no expert at painting lighthouses, but I like it so far. So here I'm just going to transition to working on this part here. I mean, there's a lot of things to do in the water. So since I have blue in my paintbrush, I'll be working here a little more. And one thing to keep in mind is that as the water gets closer, the waves become bigger, more separate from each other, and that helps give a sense of depth to add signs of waves, but separated more and more as they get close to you. So there's a lot of stuff happening here, and I just see a lot of impasto here. It's almost impressionistic, right? So I think I'm just going to go crazy here. Let's experiment a little bit. And the water, sadly, always looks a little green. I don't know if it's because it's dirty or the surroundings, but it needs to have green like that. And I'm just going to start grabbing more paint and just experiment here. This is one of the parts that interests me the most in the whole uh, subject here, so I want to make sure I get that point across. So there's a lot of light waves here. So let's see. And the painting itself, since I haven't worked on it, it's dry, so the surface doesn't run so smooth. So I need to really cover that up with some wet paint to really start mixing up what I see here, if that makes sense. Huh? So a lot of white there. So if you're watching, tell me how was your new year? What did you do? Where did you spend it? Are you looking forward to 2025? Are you excited? Do you have projects? We spent the new year with family, of course, but also we went to the casino to listen to some bands there and just celebrate. I'm not a big casino guy, but this time was fine. So here looks too white, looks very light, but well, I just want to play with this. I want to see how it looks. So just grabbing straight up white with a little blue. And just, yeah. Water is wild, right? So we have to make sure that the brush stroke is a little wild too. And interesting, right? So I'm just gonna continue adding some of this white everywhere. Yep, there we go. And over here too, we cannot forget this side. And I know I have to work here, but I'll just do it while I have white on my pencil, my brush. I sometimes want to call it a pencil. So just like that, a little oil because it's very stiff. I don't like when the paint is so stiff. Obviously, I don't think anybody does, right? So yeah, we'll see how this one turns out. I don't want to spend 100 years doing this, but I also don't want to rush through this. Now I see there's like a pier here, and there's another little lighthouse in the back. So I don't know if I want to include that. I'll see. For now, I really need to focus on the bigger details. So let's see. So if you're a painter, how would you do this? Would you paint the red fence until the end? Or would you work this way? Have I just did it so that I can have a reference of where it goes, but I think later I'll paint over it again, of course, to make sure it looks nice. So there we go. I think that's a little more interesting to have this touch of white on the painting. So we'll see. I'm going to go here again, and I see these little touches of red, brown, green. So I'll be developing this part more. So I'm wiping my brush here. Obviously, I don't have to do it too strong because I'm still working where there's blue. But here we go. Let's start playing with the red. So just add it where I think it goes. And the important thing too is to have fun doing this, right? Because it's very easy, especially with my personality, to get very critical about things and stop enjoying the process. But it's important to relax. So that's why I also, as one of my teachers taught me, I sometimes drink a little wine while I do this. So cheers. He calls it uh, the the wine is good for loosening up your arm. But obviously, well, maybe it's not a joke. Maybe it's true. But I think it's funny. So, and it really works to drink a little wine sometimes or coffee. So your drink of choice helps you keep helps to keep you relaxed while you paint. So you're going to start grabbing some brown, adding it here to the water. Where, and yeah, from here I'm going to go into. Oh, that doesn't look very good there. So when I do something like this that I don't like a stroke or something, I just right away fix it because the paint is wet, so I can cover it with thicker paint. Like that. That's it, easy. Or like I said, I just let it dry, and if I know I'm going to work on this again later, I can just go over it with time and paint over it. So I like paintings that have a lot of texture. Not like in pastel, I mean, but you know, some good amount of layers. You can tell that where all the canvas is covered well, and I feel like this one has not reached that step yet. So here I'm going to define the edge. Okay, something like that. Yeah. Okay, getting rid of that dark and getting some light blue. Again, and here, just softening up a little. I usually put on music while I do this, but since I'm live streaming, I don't mind being in silence. So, and try to keep it a little chaotic in the waters so it doesn't look too symmetrical, too perfect. So here I'm just adding a touch of straight up, just blue, ultramarine, and okay, so going back to the browns here, I see I need to define better the edge of where the water meets this wall. So obviously the water is moving, so the edge is not straight. But this wall needs a lot of work, right? So I think I'll be going there next. So I'll start with the dark parts of the wall. So right here, down here. Now I notice that, yeah, my proportions, as you can see, they're not quite right here. Like there's this big space, and here's a very short space. So here I could either, I have two choices. I could either redo the painting, which is okay too, right? Or I could just work with what I have and imagine this area. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to work with what I have. This angle is good. Uh, yep, I think it's okay. So I'll just do like this. So you have to understand these shapes are very interesting shapes. So you have this outer part. The outer part has a shade, and the inner part has light, and there's a shade on the inside from the previous corner, or I don't know what to call this shape. So it's important to analyze what you're looking at, so that way if you understand how it goes, then it's easier to put into paper or into the canvas. Getting some blue to cool it and to darken here. So we'll see, this is an experiment painting, so I don't stress out too much about it. But yeah, we'll see how it turns out in the end. So I should maybe start posting pictures. Well, I actually have some pictures on my Instagram, Manuel Oil Paints of my finished paintings. So whenever I feel like this is good, you'll see a picture of this there. That pretty much means it's for sale. So yeah, I'm just going to go. Some people might find this a little boring, this process of going down each little thing here. But that's how it goes when you paint. You have to do things like this. Sometimes you have to take your time. Now, I don't want to make it too dark. Oh, okay, whatever. So, yeah, let me know if you're a painter. Let me know what you like to paint. If you've ever painted a lighthouse, tell me your techniques. I find that painting urban things like buildings and symmetric things, objects, are trickier than painting, for example, uh, natural things like trees. They have their own techniques. So yeah, let me know what's your process with painting things such as lighthouses. Do you use rulers? Do you use, I know there's people that like to use projectors and all these things, but I just do by eye, and that's part of one of my goals, to always just improve my my drawing skills, right? And not to use too many gadgets or, yeah, tricks. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I know there's people that like to use them, but for me, I like to develop what I call like a raw art. Just look at something and paint it. Which, by the way, uh, speaking about that, as soon as the weather gets nice, I'm going to start doing plein air painting. So it's something new for me. I was thinking about buying a pochade box. So if you do any of that, let me know what are your tools. What do you like to take with you? Any tips on plein air painting are appreciated. I'm excited to try it out. I know a couple of plein air painters that I'm going to reach out to, and we're going to go paint somewhere, and I'll be sharing my my art, my experience with you. So yeah, well, I don't know how long I have been sharing now, for maybe half an hour or so, but yeah, this is going to take a while to do. So I'll chime back in, and once I feel a little better, I'll be uploading more videos. Also, I've been busy because we just opened a business. My wife and I, we opened a music studio where we teach violin and guitar lessons individually and in group. settings. So I've been busy with that really. And we also, in the month of December, I just had to play quite a bit, which I'm very grateful for. I had to play a lot with choirs this December, so I was very busy playing. And this is the first time that actually I don't have to play anywhere until the 18th of January. Today's the 5th. And I'll be playing at a gallery of a friend, and he just opened his gallery in the Third Ward district of Milwaukee, which is a historic part of Milwaukee. And I just met him actually, and we're going to perform there for violin and guitar for something called Gallery Night. So that is a big building full of galleries in which when they have gallery nights, people go and they look at the art, and if they like it, they buy it, or they can buy merchandise, whatever they like, right? And we're going to be participating in that, so we're excited about it. We're going to play some music from different parts, Latin music, Argentinian music, some tango, different stuff. So I have to also be practicing on top of that. So what I do is sometimes I practice, and then when I'm tired of practicing, I'll paint. And both of them take a lot of time, so not always can I do both, or so most of the time I when I'm very busy I postpone painting. But it's important to find time to do these things. Make time for it. You can say, oh, there, I don't have time to do it. But really, we are in charge of our time. So, right, if you say you don't have time, it's because you're not making time for it, which is okay for some people. It's not that important, right? But for me, it is important to make time to develop the skill of painting. So, yeah, I'll stop there for now, and I'll let this video just be on YouTube. And let me know if you have any questions. It's been really nice to start painting again. It's been a while, and wishing you a very good 2025. And I'll see you around. Bye bye.